my friends, today there will be color. I'm real tired of gray. Early March in Tennessee, it could go any way weather-wise, but got just a slice of sunshine here between two rain fronts coming through. I thought I'd try to get out and break this gray blob with some color. We've got some forsythia in bloom. We've got some redbud trees. We've got some Bradford pears, none of which will last very long, and none of which is, at this point, peaking. But I got to get out here and see some color. I have absolutely no idea what that is, but I wanted to show you. I knew I'd be shooting some macro today because, frankly, that's probably the only color I'm really going to find that'll have any impact. And when I shoot macro, I always carry a strobe and a remote release and some other gear that proves helpful. It's also helpful when you're shooting critters and other birds to have a strobe because the color happens when you light them up. At any rate, simple tool. Rather than pull the strobe out and try to rig that, when the sun pops, I have this handy card. I have glued a silver card to one side of a black card and affixed a white piece of typing paper to the other side of the black card. That allows me to fill in shadows specularly or non-specularly, or to take the white away and just use the black side to subtract a small amount of light if I want to impart some definition. Because as we all know, the light reveals, but the shadows define. So let's see what we can come up with on these little buds now that the sun is working for us. Now say one of these is my subject, and with the sunlight out and the silver side of the card, you see that fill light? That's a specular fill, and it may be too much. So if I just get with the white a little closer, it is very subtle. And the thing to do is to try it every way. I've got a little wind going here. Currently I'm at a 1/7 of a second. Let's see if we can crank this shutter speed up a little bit and try to freeze our subject. 1/10 of a second at f/22. So the meter says it's right on. And it's a little dark. A little dark. I'm going to bring the ISO up a little bit. It's at low now, which is 50. Okay, ISO is now 200. Let's see how that helps us. The wind's really picked up. I don't need the fill card right now. Let's see if we can. 1/30th of a second. I don't know if it's long enough or not. We'll see. Still a little dark. I'm going up to ISO 400. That'll pick us up a stop. I'm going to 800. That'll give us 2 stops over what we had. And woohoo, sweet. Now another thing a strobe can help you with is when the wind's blowing like this, the strobe duration becomes your effective shutter speed if it works within the parameters of most cameras, which 1/125th to 1/250th of a second should not hurt the ability of the flash to sync with your camera. But what it does, it becomes, like I said, it becomes the effective shutter speed. So if your camera duration, the flash duration on your setup is, what, 1/1250th of a second, that's your shutter speed. It's going to freeze everything. So good to know, good to practice. When the wind's blowing and you got to get the shot, work out a strobe exposure that freezes your subject. It's a little hot and a little specular with this silver fill card, but I like what it's doing, and I'm going to use the ability of this fill card to up the exposure on that isolated part of this bloom, bud, flower, whatever it is. I'm going to use it to raise my shutter speed and hopefully defeat the wind without having to go to the strobe. Let's see. Okay, that's 1/60th of a second. Let's see how that works for us. Reflected light is coming from below. It's probably not going to look just right, so I want it at least even or above. Of course, my sun's gone away, but I want this fill card acting as a source of light from at least level with or slightly above this subject. All right, we've got our sun back. Let's put it on it from slightly above or to the side. Just got to get it on there. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. Changing my orientation just a bit because I've got one of these twigs in the background has kind of become tangent to my subject, so I'm going to change that just a little by moving the camera very slightly, backing up a little too. And because this 5D SR Canon camera is a 50+ megapixel resolution camera, I backed up a little bit to pull in some more design elements in my frame, and also to give a little bit better depth of field with this 150 macro lens. And so recomposing and finding all the fine angles, and the sun is just happening like nobody's business. And the bokeh behind my subject is pretty cool here. Woo-hoo. That's nice. It's a little to the left of the histogram, so I'm going to kick a little light in there and shoot it again. Very nice. Oh, that's sweet. 22, f22, ISO 800, 1/60th of a second. It's a 150 macro sigma lens on a 50 megapixel plus 5D SR Canon camera. I'm just going to work this a little bit, and then we'll move on. As they say in the urban youth music industry, that's a wrap. any luck at all, next time you see me, I'll be showing you some photographs from the Redneck Riviera. If you don't know what the Redneck Riviera is, son, you just ain't lived. So check me out. It should be an educational opportunity for all. Once again, thanks for joining me. I'm glad I got to show you some color for the first time in a few months. If you think about it and feel moved to do so, why don't you share, comment, like, subscribe, ring that bell. We'll all be better off if you do those things. I will see you next week. I got this forsythia. Does that bring out the yellow in my teeth? I thought so.